welcome to First Local. I'm Chris Olcorn. Thank you very much for joining us here on Monday, October the 5th. In just a moment, we're going to go over to the new Green Party Leaders Press Conference. But before we do, I want to let you know we'll be back here at 1 p.m. for Doug Ford's press conference. Today he is joined by the Minister of Education, Stephen Lecce, and also, as per normal, we'll also have Christine Elliott, who's the Deputy Premier, as well as the Minister of Health. But before we go there, already, the Michigan Governor, Governor Whitmer, is taking the Upper Peninsula of Michigan back to stage 4. You were at stage 5 of a 6-stage reopening process, but because there's been an outbreak on the western part of the Upper Peninsula in particular, you're going back to stage 4. And that will take effect on Friday, October the 9th. Here on the Canadian side, Sackville Road, which was supposed to be the road to give an alternate route for the people to get to the hospital, including paramedics, has been sacked until 2023. Council has cancelled moving forward on the project. This means that the next council will have to deal with it, and they'll have to redo the environmental assessment because it will have been too far in the past for the environmental assessment to be done, so they're going to have to do it again. And by the way, they're also shutting down parts of Great Northern Road to put in new lights for Pinos as well, which also hinders ambulances being able to get to the location of the hospital. Now, a couple events coming up. It is now the First Nations Public Library Week. This is the 20th anniversary that the Sault Ste. Marie Library has done this. And basically, it starts, there's a contest. You have to pick what's your favorite Indigenous book. The contest runs from yesterday, October the 4th, to the 25th as well. And here's how it works. You cast your vote on a selection of 5 different books that were chosen by some guest panelists. So you can go to the Sault Ste. Marie Public Library webpage and then click on events, and you can vote for it there. Also, there's a chapter from a book by Daniel Heath Justice called Why Indigenous Literature Matters, and you can read a chapter of that as well. That's part of the contest. And then the contest winner will find out on October the 29th to get an Indigenous themed prize pack and also public recognition that you won the contest. Also, tomorrow, the Sault Ste. Marie Chamber of Commerce is having their annual general meeting. Now, it's a little different this year. It's online, obviously, and it takes place from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. tomorrow, October the 6th. And for more information on that and how to get on the Zoom call, just go to the Sault Ste. Marie Chamber of Commerce. I grew up in Simcoe, that's why I said Simcoe. Over on the American side, a couple debates coming up. Tomorrow night, the Chippewa County Commission has a debate, on Wednesday night at 8 p.m. It has all the local people running for the commission for that one. And then they're also hosting for the Michigan 107th House District. So that is for a debate about who is going to go to the Michigan Congress, not the U.S. Congress in Washington. You'll be able to see both those here at Sioux Online and on TV as well. Now we're going to go to the Green Party leader. The Green Party has picked Annamie Paul as their next leader. She is replacing Elizabeth May, who's been the Green Party leader for quite some time now. Paul is Black and Jewish, and she was perceived to be the front runner for several reasons. She raised the most money during the leadership race, as well as she racked up the most endorsements from former Green Party candidates. And we're now going to go over to her press conference. Here's Annamie Paul.
Thank you. I'm going to just be very brief so we can get to your questions as soon as possible. First, I want to acknowledge that we are on the unceded territories of the Mississauga, Anishinaabe, that's Toronto, the Anishinaabe and the Algonquin peoples. I say that with a great deal of gratitude and as an ally in the struggle for Indigenous self-determination and the respect for all of the calls to action. Je veux dire que je suis une alliée et je suis prête à soutenir les efforts des peuples autochtones pour l'autodétermination et le respect à tous les appels à l'action. I want to start, because I hope that they'll see it, and just thank all of our members across the country that have put their support behind me, that have placed their faith in me. I want to tell them that I take that responsibility very seriously. And I want to thank them for doing what Greens do really well, which is being extremely courageous in terms of picking the leadership that they believe that Canada needs. It is highly symbolic and highly important that I sit here today, the first in many firsts, and I thank them for making the choice that they have, and I'm going to do everything I can to deserve it every single day. I also want to thank Elizabeth and Paul. Elizabeth also as a first as well. I said during my acceptance speech that I stand on her shoulders, and there's no question that I do. Elizabeth took a party with 6,000 people. We have over 34,000 members now. We have 3 members of caucus, and that is a tremendous legacy for anyone. And I cannot wait to work with you. This is one of the big bonuses of having this role. We get to work together. And the same with you as well, Paul. I'm just so excited about that and all the things we're going to do together. And so just very briefly, I said you'll hear these themes over and over again in the coming weeks and months. We are at a moment in time, and my sister said it best. I will give her the credit for it. My sister said it best when she said that we have arrived at a moment where we have got to do better. We have got to do better, and we have got to ask ourselves, what is a life worth? Every single day during this pandemic, we've been confronted with that question. What is a life worth? What are we willing to do to protect our friends, our neighbors, and our community? What are the social policies that we need in order to do that? And how are we going to make sure that when this scourge is over, that we are more resilient, and that the next time it hits, and we will be here again, that we can be more resilient and that we can protect every single person in Canada. We have 2 great challenges that we face. And as leader of the Green Party of Canada, my job is to make sure that Canadians understand that, and then understand that their best option in terms of attacking those challenges is to elect more Green Party of Canada members. First, we have the urgent needs that have come to the fore during the pandemic. We have a social safety net that has let people down and has let people fall through. I mentioned that my father died in long-term care. He's one of thousands of Canadians who died unnecessarily because the government and the previous governments dropped the ball. And if we don't fix that problem, then more people will die in this next wave that that's hit us, really. And so long-term care, universal pharmacare, guaranteed livable income, these are the policies that we need to have in place as soon as possible if we are going to protect everyone and allow them to live in dignity. And then we can never forget the climate emergency. And I joke about this because people say we're a one-issue party. And I say to them, if it's the right issue, then it's okay for it to be the one issue. And in the case of the climate emergency, it is and remains the existential crisis of our times. And we cannot forget about it because it has not forgotten about us. And so when I listened to the speech from the throne, I think like many of you, I was hoping to hear something extremely inspirational. I was hoping to hear a vision for Canada that would inspire and spark the action that we need towards those 2 objectives. And what I heard was a whole lot of platitudes. And unfortunately, a platitude is not a plan. And so I am encouraging people to turn towards the Green Party if they're looking for a real plan, because what we see is that the other parties, unfortunately, are intellectually exhausted. Alors que la situation exige un leadership politique audacieux et courageux, je suis forcée de constater que les autres partis politiques sont à court d'idées. J'ai écouté le discours du trône en espérant d'être inspiré. Malheureusement, je n'ai entendu que les mots creux d'un gouvernement qui est intellectuellement épuisé. And so with that, I look forward to your questions. I look forward to working with you in the media on a good news story for Canadians. And that good news story is the Green Party. That good news story is an accelerated transition towards a green economy as soon as we're able to do it. And the good news story is that we still have the time to create the social safety net that is going to allow every Canadian to live in dignity. Et avec ça, je le passe à vous pour vos questions. Merci.
We're going to take three questions on the telephone. D'abord, on prend 3 questions du téléphone.
Thank you. Merci. Please press star 1 at this time if you have a question. S'il vous plaît, appuyez sur étoile 1 maintenant pour poser votre question. The first question is from Lina Dib, La Presse canadienne. La première question est de Lina Dib, La Presse canadienne. Please go ahead. La parole est à vous.
Oui, bonjour Madame Paul. Vous dites que le gouvernement semble à court d'idées. Vous n'êtes pas élu, vous n'avez pas de place au Parlement en ce moment. Vous comptez faire quoi exactement pour faire valoir vos idées, pour vous faire remarquer sur la scène politique?
Bon, tout d'abord, merci pour la question. Tout d'abord, je cherche un siège au Parlement. Je me présente comme notre candidate dans la circonscription de Toronto Centre. Je suis l'ancienne candidate de 2019 dans cette circonscription et je le fais encore. J'ai décidé de le faire même avant d'être élu comme chef parce que les gens au Toronto Centre ont besoin d'une vraie représentation. Moi, je dis ça suffit. Ça suffit avec les candidats et candidates libérales qui sont parachutés dans cette circonscription et puis quittent directement pour ailleurs. Les besoins sont urgents pour les gens à Toronto Centre et je crois qu'ils ont besoin d'une forte option verte. Alors, j'espère ils seront d'accord et si oui, je serai dans le Parlement peut-être même en novembre.
Et sinon, c'est quoi votre option?
Et sinon, je peux dire que moi et les autres candidats et candidates dans notre cours sont des experts dans faire la campagne virtuelle. Alors, j'ai appris beaucoup sur comment on fait une course, même dans une pandémie, même dans un espace virtuel. Et la bonne nouvelle, c'est que nous avons beaucoup de leaders. Notre parti est un parti de la base, un parti avec beaucoup de voix. Mon travail va être, oui, d'avoir une voix forte pour nos membres, mais aussi de partager ma voix et notre plateforme avec tous nos chefs, tous nos leaders. Yes. So what I said is that if I don't, the good news is, and David, you would know this better than most, that we have learned how to campaign in a virtual space. I can tell you that I'm an expert in that, having done that for 9 months. We were committed to outreach. We were committed to reaching all of our members, and we did that, even with travel being impossible during the pandemic. So I'm confident that we can continue to connect with Canadians. I'm confident that the media is going to help me to connect with Canadians, whether I'm inside or outside of Parliament. And then we're a grassroots party, which means that, my objective is to make sure that the platform I stand on is wide enough and strong enough to have Elizabeth and Paul and all of our leaders across the country sharing their voices. This is the moment for all of you to get to know the breadth and the depth that we have within our party. We have the bench strength to govern tomorrow if we're given the opportunity, and that's going to be part of my job to make sure that Canadians know that.
Next question, one follow-up. Suivante question, s'il vous plaît.
Thank you. Merci. The next question is from Marika Walsh, de Globe and Mail. La prochaine question est de Marika Walsh, de Globe and Mail. Please go ahead. La parole est à vous.
Hi, thank you, Ms. Paul. I'm wondering what your take is. It appears that none of the other parties will stand down their candidates in Toronto Centre, as the Greens did in Burnaby South when Doug McSinn was running in a by-election.
Well, I can't say that surprises me. I was asked that question yesterday, and I would say that, I said then that the choice was theirs. It certainly doesn't surprise me. I would say that I'm a first. And as a first, you're accustomed to fighting. You're accustomed to having to overcome every single barrier to get to where you're trying to go to. And so, if we have to do that yet again in Toronto Centre, then we're prepared to do that. And so they won't stand down, but I'm going to stand up for the residents in Toronto Centre.
And so can you give us a bit more understanding of of how it will work within your party if you're not in Parliament? Will Ms. May continue to be the parliamentary leader? And are you?
I hope so.
Are you open to going to other provinces or other regions to run, or do you only want to run in Toronto?
First, I certainly hope so. Those of you who have covered the Hill long enough know that there is no one, sorry, Paul, no one that has Elizabeth's institutional knowledge, both of Parliament, its procedures, its policies, and just public policy in general. I feel like I should put her on the spot and ask her if she has a photographic memory, because it is extraordinary. So absolutely, you know, the really encouraging thing is we're going to have incredibly strong leadership in the caucus until I'm able to join my colleagues. And I would remind people of other examples of leaders who have done extraordinary work and then made extraordinary breakthroughs outside of Parliament. And I will just say mention one name, Jack Layton. And so there's a lot of work that I have to do, whether it's inside or outside of Parliament, to make our case to Canadians, and I can do it in both in any fora.
And are you willing to run outside of Toronto?
Oh yes, thank you for that. I'm willing to run anywhere that the Green Party and our membership thinks it makes sense for me to run. My children are grown. My son's over there at the door. My husband is an international human rights lawyer and has, you know, all of his work is outside of Canada, and so, you know, I have bags. We'll travel.
Thank you. Next question. Prochaine question. Une question, un follow-up.
Thank you, merci. The next question is from Raymond Filion, TVA. La prochaine question, Raymond Filion, TVA. Please go ahead. La parole est à vous.
Bonjour, Mme Paul. Merci, bonjour.
Bonjour,
Quand les gens
bonjour.
pensent au Parti vert, ils pensent à l'environnement. Or, la pandémie est actuellement la grande priorité pour les Canadiens, bien avant l'environnement. Est-ce que ça ne risque pas de rendre la partie plus difficile pour votre formation?
J'étais, comme j'ai dit, j'étais une candidate dans l'élection de 2019, dans une circonscription qui est dans les mains de l'épidémie d'opioïdes, qui est une des circonscriptions le moins abordables dans tout le Canada, et où un enfant dans 3 vit dans la pauvreté. Alors, je sais très bien que d'être un vrai parti, un parti pour les peuples, il faut être un parti qui parle et qui s'occupe des enjeux sociaux. Nos politiques sur le revenu minimum garanti, l'accès à les médicaments universels, l'accès à l'éducation postsecondaire, l'accès à la décriminalisation des drogues, tout ça sont des politiques anciennes de notre parti. Et tout ça est ce qu'il faut pour ce moment. Alors, je sais très bien que, bon, c'est mon travail, mais si les gens au Canada prennent un moment à penser de notre parti et de penser de nos politiques, ils vont voir que c'était nous qui avons proposé les politiques dont nous avons besoin en ce moment.
Quel est votre message aux électeurs du Québec, qui est quand même une province où votre parti n'a pas encore réussi à remporter de siège? Qu'est-ce que vous leur dites pour essayer d'attirer leur attention?
Je leur dis bonjour. Bonjour. Bonjour, comme quelqu'un qui est la mère de 2 membres de la francophonie. Mes 2 enfants étaient éduqués en français. Ils ont commencé leur éducation en français dans nos écoles publiques francophones et ils font membres de la francophonie. Alors, c'est très personnel pour moi. Je suis hâte à travailler avec notre parti pour devenir un parti complètement bilingue. Je sais qu'il y a des barrières pour les gens qui aimeraient être bilingues. Dans mon cas, je suis juste une ancienne étudiante de l'immersion française. Et ma mère et ma famille ont fait des énormes efforts pour que nous soyons bilingues. Et je remercie ma mère pour ça. Les gens au Québec sont énormément progressistes. C'est là où nous avons eu 500 000 personnes dans les rues pour réclamer un vrai plan pour attaquer la crise climatique. Alors, moi, je dis bienvenue à tous les progressistes au Québec qui cherchent une maison. En ce moment, ils n'ont pas de maison. Ils n'ont pas de maison dans une partie fédérale. Et c'est chez nous. Alors moi, dès le premier moment, je vais aller chercher ces votes, je vais aller chercher des nouveaux membres au Québec et je dis qu'il y a toujours une place chez nous pour eux.
Thank you. Questions on the floor now, please. One question, one follow-up. Question ici dans la chambre, s'il vous plaît.
Bonjour.
Christian Noël de Radio-Canada. C'est toujours le cas après une course à la direction du parti. Il faut essayer de réunir les différentes factions. La gauche du Parti vert était très forte. Il y a aussi des éléments au sein du parti qui sont en faveur de boycott et de sanctions envers Israël. Comment est-ce que vous allez réunir ces gens-là et est-ce que ces gens-là qui demandent boycott et divertissement et sanctions ont une place au Parti vert?
D'abord, je félicite tous les candidats et candidates. C'est remarquable que nous avons réuni 8 personnes autant qualifiées pour le rôle, pour passer 9 mois à lutter pour gagner ce place. Alors, je les félicite et je leur dis que c'était très bon pour notre démocratie interne, mais aussi externe, de voir que c'est possible d'avoir un échange d'idées. Malheureusement, parce que les autres partis ont concentré tellement de pouvoir dans leur chef, dans leur petit entourage, qu'on oublie que dans une démocratie, il faut avoir des échanges d'idées. Et c'est comme ça qu'on crée des bonnes politiques. Alors, je crois qu'il y a des places pour tous ces points de vue. Nous avons des valeurs partagées. Et si un membre partage ces valeurs, je leur dis bienvenue. Nos politiques sont créées par nos membres. Nous sommes en train de commencer le processus pour notre prochaine convention de politique qu'on va célébrer en janvier ou plus ou moins. Bon, c'est pas clair. Bon, mais l'année prochaine. Et c'est là où nous allons décider quelles seront nos politiques pour les prochaines 2 années, quelles seront nos politiques pour la prochaine élection. Et après ça, ce serait mon rôle de représenter ces politiques. Yes. Swivel. So what I said is that this is what a healthy, first I wanted to thank the candidates that presented themselves to run. This was 9 months. I'm sorry, my voice isn't really totally up to the job today. This was 9 months of working very, very hard, of hundreds of people, thousands really, working across the country to support their candidates and to help them to win. And so I thank them for their contribution, and I thank them so much for the very, very healthy exchange of ideas that we had. It is really remarkable that we were able to get 8 candidates of such high quality to commit to running in this race. And I say to them, you know, that their contribution has changed the party for the better. And then I also remind people that this is what healthy democracy looks like. We forget that because more and more over the years, and this started within the Harper years, and it's only gotten worse, what we see is a hyper concentration of power in the leader's office, in their entourage, and we forget that a democracy is better when there is an exchange of ideas. Their tension is good, you know, the arguments are good, and it creates better public policy. And so for me, as long as Green Party members support our core values, there is no debate about those, then they're very welcome. And I hope that we will continue to have those healthy discussions. We have a policy convention next year. I'm here to represent the policies of the party and our members. And so the members will decide what will be in our next platform and what policies I'll be representing for the years to come.
Vous avez proposé durant la campagne d'imposer des tarifs aux pays qui ne respectent pas certaines normes au niveau du carbone.
Oui.
La question, pourquoi? Mais deuxièmement, est-ce que vous n'avez pas peur que ça se retourne contre le Canada et que ce genre de tarifs-là soit imposé à nous à l'avenir? Et quel effet ça aurait sur l'économie?
Je vais répondre à la deuxième partie par dire que j'espère que non. Parce que si le Canada adopte les cibles nécessaires pour attaquer notre crise climatique, si nous avons des cibles, si nous avons un plan, absolument pas. Alors, j'espère que non. Et si notre gouvernement actuel ne se démontre pas capable de le faire, je leur dis de céder place à des autres partis qui sont prêts à le faire. Parce que nous avons qu'un petit moment pour attaquer cette crise existentielle. Et notre gouvernement insiste. Ils insistent sur garder des cibles qui ne sont pas suffisantes pour atteindre les réductions d'émissions de gaz à effet de serre nécessaires. Pour les tarifs, moi, je suis très encouragée de voir que Joe Biden, je crois qu'il a 10 points, il a 10 points en avance de Trump. Parce que Joe Biden aussi parle d'imposer des tarifs sur des pays comme nous en ce moment, n'ont pas implémenté des cibles, les cibles nécessaires pour lutter contre la crise climatique. Et c'est très logique. Ça ne vaut pas la peine d'avoir une excellente politique nationale sur la crise climatique si les produits qui sont importés des autres pays avec des faibles cibles peuvent entrer. C'est pas bon pour notre économie, c'est pas bon pour notre business, nos entreprises. Oui, c'est une...
And that was the new Green Party leader, Annamie Paul, and she was giving her first press conference since winning the leadership race yesterday. And she was also obviously joined there with the former leader of the Green Party, Elizabeth May. Now, we just had numbers come in for COVID-19 here in Ontario for today. We have 615 new cases. That's up from 566 yesterday. And we had 653 the day before on Sunday. The 7-day rolling average now sits at 612. We did 38,000 tests in the past 24 hours. That means our positivity rate was at 1.6%, which is higher than it's been for quite some time. We've now done over 4 million tests since the pandemic started here in Ontario. Keeping in mind we only have about 14 million residents, so quite a few people have been tested, and some people have been tested more than once, people in long-term care and so on. There was 5 new virus-related deaths in the past 24 hours, and 2 of those 5 were in long-term care homes, where we've seen predominantly most of the people who have been dying have been in long-term care homes and over the age of 80. They've accounted for about 80% of all of the deaths. Our hospital numbers continue to climb up. We are now up to 176 patients receiving care in hospital. That's up from 169 on Sunday and 155 on Saturday. However, it is worth noting that not all hospitals report data on the weekend, and that also means they haven't reported their data today. So there's 35 hospitals across the province that didn't report any data for COVID-19 patients. So that number of 176 is probably a bit higher than that, could be close to 200. The number of patients in intensive care is 43 that we know of. And we're now seeing a decline. We talked about this before. We were seeing 60 to 70% of the cases were in people under the age of 40. That number's been declining over the last week or two, with only 58% of all the new cases today were in people under the age of 40. Back in mid-September, it actually was even peaking over 70% of new cases were with people under the age of 40. Also, this means our total active cases is at 5,470. That's up from 4,564 just a week ago. 289 of the cases were in Toronto, where we've seen major outbreaks. 88 were in Peel region, which is Mississauga, Brampton area, and 81 were in the Ottawa region. Also, the Toronto Public Health Unit has stopped contact tracing, and they're now focused on isolation. Now, come back at 1 o'clock. We'll be here with Doug Ford, along with Christine Elliott and the Minister of Education, Stephen Lecce. So come back here to First Local, and I will see you at 1 o'clock.